Well, for those who watched the preview, I obviously wasn't super optimistic heading into this game. Obviously, no Dusty, no Grimes, no Prestia, Hopper, Gibkiss, Graham, plus a couple of others. A couple of players coming back for their first week, like Tyler Young off the concussion. So you look at everything on paper and you think, you know, we're not really much of a chance here. But you go in a little bit optimistic always. I think you always give yourself a little bit of a chance, but that also realism and that realistic expectation sets in as well. But geez, I don't think we just stunned the football world. I think we stunned ourselves a little bit there as well. I think we potentially always knew that a performance like that was possible, but then to actually go out and do it against a team like Sydney as well. And Sydney definitely weren't on their A game. You could tell on the day, but that's all it takes sometimes, little moments. And for them not to be 100%, they might have only been 95%. And that's all it took for us to roll over the top. So amazing. Amazing. I'd normally be more up and about, but the Lynch news and the Noah Bolton news has just hit, so I'm a little bit flat at the moment. But I'll talk about that towards the end of the video. I'll get into the game because, geez, what a ripper it was, and no doubt you've probably watched the replay a few times. I think the forward pressure and just the pressure in general, but the forward pressure specifically, I think it really unsettled Sydney. I've got the stats here. We laid 14 tackles inside 50 over the weekend, which was a notable increase on the 21 we'd landed in total through round 0, 1, and 2. So massive difference. And 14 tackles inside 50 is exactly the average that we recorded in 2017, which is sort of right when we're in that prime of pressure and making teams nervous when they had the footy around us. So it was good to see us back in that kind of form pressure wise. That's exactly what we need and exactly what we want. And that's how we're going to win games. I think all our games this year are going to have to come from that pressure game. And we know we can do it. It's just a matter of actually doing it. And I think the best thing about pressure, everyone talks about Richmond's list and, how many young guys we've got and how many unknowns that we have playing in the team. But the best thing about pressure, I believe, is it doesn't matter who you've got. You don't need to be experienced. You don't need to necessarily be that talented. You just need the drive and you just need to want. And hopefully, especially for a lot of our younger guys, hopefully this game against the Swans is a bit of a light bulb moment for these younger guys where they go, you know what? I might not be as good as Dusty was in his prime or Cochin and his players that have moved on now, but I can chase, I can tackle, I can put effort in. And I think, that hopefully they've realized, well, we've won a game of football doing just that. Why can't we win more? And we didn't just beat an average team. We beat Sydney, who were tipped to be one of the flag favorites at the moment. So it's exciting. It definitely gives us a bit more optimism going into future games. And now the monkey's off the back. Uze's finally got his first win. It's going to be an exciting time, hopefully, for the next couple of weeks. We've got Saints next week who knows how they look. And then the week after, we've got West Coast over in Perth. Then we've got the bye, which I think couldn't come at a more helpful time. We probably already need a bye, to be completely honest with you. But we've got to win now, so we don't want to ruin momentum. But we won't talk about the future too much. We'll get into a little bit more. I'm not going to go into stats player-wise because there's so many stats I could reel off. There were a lot of players that had great games. I think our experienced players were fantastic. Tim Taranto was my player of the game. I listed that on the Instagram, but Nick Vostine, very, very, very close second. It was honestly a flip of the coin between the two of them in terms of who I was going to give it to. I think I went Tim because I've already given Vostine one this year already. So I went Tim this time. But honestly, it could have, like I said, flip of the coin. He was outstanding, probably saved us multiple times. Shea Bolton, awesome. Liam Baker, incredible. Actually, quickly speaking of Liam Baker, let me know in the comments, is he in trouble? Obviously, that hit on Lewis Malikan, not ideal. Running back with the flight, eyes off the footy. Thankfully, Malikan wasn't concussed and played the rest of the game, which helps Baker's case a little bit, but obviously trying to stamp out those sorts of actions. So let me know what you think he'll cop for that one. Hopefully, it's not too bad because he's one of our most important players and we're definitely going to need him. But those guys were outstanding. But the thing that impressed me the most was the talent, the young talent coming up. Tyler Young, I thought great. Ben Miller played his best game for the club, no doubt in my mind. Ryan Mansell, outstanding. I thought again. Seth Campbell, I'm loving him. I'm glad he is going to be a permanent fixture in our forward line. Morris Rowley Jr., I think this is one of his better games for the club. He had 17 disposals, few contested possessions, his pressure acts, his tackles, multiple holding the balls. It's exactly what we need from him. The only thing lacking from his game is definitely just a bit of score input. He needs to hit the scoreboard a little bit more. You look at the good small forwards around the competition and they all kick goals. Morris isn't quite doing that, but the other aspects of his game are really exciting, and there's plenty of upside in him there. And if he had to knuckle that set shot that he had, it's a pretty gettable one. He'd probably kick those more often than not. So he's unlucky not to have a goal to his name, but I thought he was outstanding. Tyler Sonzi, Tom Brown, McKelty kicked, 2 goals and one of them from 50 meters out on a bit of an angle. Like that was nuts. So I think we've got some real talent coming through, which is really exciting because you look at, you know, like I said, the people that we were missing, all our experienced players, all the ones that weren't playing, in terms of, people in our best 22, and we still got the job done. So that's super exciting because it just means that when these guys get 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 more games under their belt, the upside from what we're going to get from them is going to be outstanding. So loved that. And I think the biggest reason we were able to get up and get a good win like we did, and I don't think it was like one player's efforts necessarily. There was a couple of standouts, obviously, but I think it was so many little cameos all around the ground that collectively to get, when they all collectively came together, that's what won us the game. There were moments, obviously, things that changed the game. I want to say Richmond Journey, my great mate there, he was the one that pointed this out, but Ryan Mansell, I think he's football smarts. He probably saved the game in a way that really went under the radar. It was late in the game. I think it was Sam Banks has gone for the footy. He slid, he's dragged the ball in and gotten tackled straight away. Now, we all know as soon as you drag that football in, that's it. That's holding the ball. Mansell ran over to the contest, ripped the ball out of Banks's hands, took control of it himself. He copped the tackle. Umpire sees Mansell with the football in his hands. Ball slipped out. No holding the ball up. They get a hold in the ball there. It was just outside their 50. That's a deep entry. And, they were coming hard, the Swans, at the very end there. They were really coming hard. And every chance they kick a goal. And, we're not sitting here talking about the win like we are today. So, just, like I said, just little moments that all built up and makes things really exciting going forward. So, loved that. So stoked for Adam Uze. Like I said, he got the monkey off the back now. I think he just needed to get that pressure off him. Now there's a bit of a release. The tap's been opened and he's just, hopefully we'll see bigger and better things going forward and just, a few more consistent performances. Like I said, we played well, not perfect by any means, but we played well and we just want to continue that. And I know I was a little bit more on the pessimistic side of things as well. But, looking back at the first few games, and I read an article that was mentioning this earlier as well. And obviously the Gold Coast game, not great. We can all admit that they kicked 11 straight, but then we went on to be able to kick 7 in a row as well and gave the Gold Coast a bit of a scare. Carlton, we went down by 5 points and they're one of the premiership favourites as well. And then Port Adelaide at 3/4 time, we're within 7 points. So we're not playing as poorly as what we're portrayed to just because we hadn't won a game just yet. So I think this Sydney game hopefully gives us a bit more belief as well. And not just as fans, but as a playing group and all that. Hopefully they see, we got the win against a really good side in Sydney. And look how close we were against these other great sides. We haven't been given the easiest draw and we've been competitive and we've been playing decent footy. Now it's just getting consistent with it and continuing to roll forward. We really want to compete against teams like St Kilda that we got next week at Gather Round. And, we need to be beating West Coast. Like we can't, I know it's most teams almost write them off as a gimme, but you can't afford to lose games like that in the position that we're in as well. Like, because if you lose games like that, that's when things get tough. So hopefully we can just keep building from this and use this as that stepping stone that we really need. But let's in the meantime enjoy the week. Obviously when you lose, you feel it all week. There's people in the media talking down about the club, and there's nothing to watch. So hopefully let's enjoy and a bit of praise, which is probably a bit more of a rarity these days. Let's enjoy the highlights, watch the replays, whatever you're going to do, because it's going to be an exciting build up to Gather Round. Now that we're coming off a pretty big win and the Saints are coming off a loss, so we've got a lot to look forward to this week. But I'll get into the negatives. And like I said, I am a little flatter than what I would have liked to have been doing this video. And the news has just come out probably now before recording this that Tom Lynch will now miss a significant amount of time due to a hamstring injury that he suffered late in the game. And this one, I think, crept up on us all, but Noah Bolter has done an MCL injury, which will see him out for at least 3 to 5 weeks. There are two pillars up forward. We know how much we missed Lynch last year and we struggled without him. We had Jack, mind you, but we still really miss Lynch up there, and he's done such a power of work to get back. And he got his foot right. He was moving really well. And this is the first game all season I've seen him really run, jump, and look like the Lynch that we've known in the past. And then for him to do a hamstring injury and see him out for a significant period of time, hopefully it's not as bad as Presti is, but he's likely to get surgery. So I'm no doctor or physiotherapist. I don't know how long those sorts of injuries go for. So we'll have to wait and see. But that's a real kicker. And then Noah Bolter, obviously, we've got him to not only play alongside Lynch, but cover if Lynch wasn't to play. And now he's out for 3 to 5 weeks. And the optimistic thing about Noah Bolter is that he's such a rare specimen athlete wise. Hopefully he's on the shorter end of the recovery spectrum. But again, you don't know. So that hurts. So I guess what's the solution? I mean, you look at the injuries that we've got, a lot of soft tissues. Dion Prestia can't get his hamstrings right. Lynch seems to be getting injured. There are different injuries, but he keeps getting injured. Noah Bolton now with his knee. Um, I don't know. Is it a club thing? Do you have to look internally? Is there something wrong with the strength and conditioning, the doctors? I don't. Are we doing something wrong, or is it just bad luck? I don't know. And then who comes in? Now, who comes in and fills that role that Lynch and Bolter are gonna leave? So, I mean, the obvious names are Cozzy. He's only played the one game, wasn't great. He's been at VFL a couple of weeks now. Samson Ryan, I'm not sure how far Jacob Bauer is. There's Noah Cumberland come in. We know he can kick goals. Does Ben Miller push forward? I just don't know. So there's so many variables now, and it's a real shame to put a dampen on the week because obviously yesterday was so incredible with the win and there's so many great moments throughout that game, and then to now have this sort of tarnish it that little bit, and instead of probably enjoying the win as much as we'd want to, we're probably now being a little bit pessimistic looking forward to the game against the Saints because of these injuries that we've now got. On top of that, like obviously we should get Dusty back next week, which will be huge. Graham will be available for selection, but does he even come in with some of the young guys that are playing well in his position? So it's really up in the air. I don't know what to think about it. I'm scratching my head thinking of answers, but like I said, let's not worry about that. We had a great win yesterday against the Swans. It was incredible. Great to be there as well. It was obviously a 45,000 crowd. It felt like 85,000. The Richmond faithful were up and about, and it was good to be there and see our first win for the year. So hopefully you guys were there. If you were, let me know how your experience was, but I'll leave it there. There's, obviously you guys will do all your own deep dives and your own searching, and you'll read plenty of reviews. You'll hear plenty in the media. You'll watch your replays and your highlights. So I won't drag on too much, but thank you again for watching. Thankfully, we are finally on the winning board. We've got a win now. Hopefully we get a few more under our belt as well, but I'll speak to you very shortly for the St Kilda preview. And hopefully we've got some more positive news on the injury front as well with some of the people coming back into the side. So to the St Kilda preview, thank you again for watching, and go Tigers.